And a very good. What do we have here? It's Tuesday, 12 noon, Tuesday afternoon. Thank you very much for listening. I am Chris Pardo. Whatever time zone you happen to be in, welcome to the show. Whether you're on the East Coast, the West Coast, or anywhere else in the world, thank you very much for listening. We're coming to you live on the I-95 Sports and Entertainment Network. Also, if you're listening to one of our podcasts, we're coming across on most of the major podcast platforms, such as Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, you name it, we're in most of those places as well. So thank you very much for listening. And of course, we got a decent show I think we have set up for you today. We're going to be talking about baseball as usual, of course. We have 3 games on tap to talk about. We had 3 games yesterday. 2 of those were part of that little system that we've been talking about all season long. And of course, we threw in a 3rd game that we thought was a good choice to kind of take a look at, primarily because it was an underdog, okay, and also the fact that there was a big money line difference on it. It was really a good play to play, and as it turned out, it really worked out as well. But we'll talk about that later. And also, we're going to take a look into the futures of the New York Yankees as far as their baseball futures are concerned, their chances for the World Series and, of course, into the playoffs. So we're going to talk about that as well. And, of course, bring you up to date, as usual, on things that happened on the day before. Now, before we get into the day before situations where we kind of tell you about what happened yesterday in the world of sports as far as betting is concerned, I just want to take a few minutes and explain certain things about the show, because every now and then I do get questions asked, what is the show about? Can you tell me what the show is about? And it is a little different from most other gambling shows. Okay, just going to give you a little idea on that, because what our main purpose is to make a better handicapper out of you, so that if you want to get involved, whether it's on a once a week level, a casual level, a little more serious level, whatever it is, we're here to try to help you get to that point and get to make you a better handicapper. So basically what we're doing is we approach it from 2 different points of view. First of all, there are people that like all this statistical data, and they like to put the stuff together, the batting averages, the team totals, things of whatever it is that you yourself have deemed to be important as far as selecting a team, okay? So we try to keep you up on that aspect of it. And on the other hand, because we are contrarians, it's very simple for a contrarian to make their selections, because number one, we deal primarily with underdogs. That's all we ever deal with is underdogs. That's all we bet on as contrarians, as underdogs. And of course, it's very simple to match them up against certain analytics. And if they fall into that category, those are the games that we play. So we give you both aspects. When we give you the games and the teams that are picked by the pros with that little system that we've been using, along with the line movement as well, the whole purpose there is to give you an idea of a mix. You're going to get some favorites, you're going to get some underdogs, but at least you're going to get the information from people that do this for a living. Okay, so whichever way you want to choose, it's up to you. That's what the primary purpose of the show. It's your show. You decide what you want to do. Not telling you that being a contrarian is the best thing in the world or anything else, or these guys that are making these selections are so fantastic that you're going to become a millionaire. It just ain't going to happen. If you're going to become a millionaire, you got to be betting $100,000, $20,000 on the games. So in order to get to that point, that's not what we're here for. We're here for the average person that's out there looking to at least get ahead by the end of the season, have some fun betting, and to kind of go that way. So if you're the person that likes information, you kind of put things together, and then you make your decision, which is all good and well. We try to help you there. If you want to start taking on some of the contrarian values that we talk about, it's fine. You can do that as well. So, and if you want to follow the pros with the little system or method that we've been using, you can also do that. So it's up to you. And I'm always answering these questions. Like I said, my grandson plays baseball on the weekends. Sometimes he'll play 4 or 5 games on a weekend. Okay. And, I talk to parents. We find out what we do for livings and stuff of that nature. They find out that I'm in this type of business. So what they do is they try to, pull information from me. And of course, I try to tell them exactly what we do here. So basically, that's the story. So this way, whichever way you're going, we're here to help you out. And that's why we want to have the newsletter. That newsletter is going to appeal to everybody. Not only are we going to give you data and information and stats that will help you to determine who it is that you want to bet on, but also we're going to talk about the contrarian values that are there, as well as giving you the early lines on what the pros are going. So basically, that's what the whole show is about. So let's get started. We're going to start out by talking about what happened yesterday as far as betting was concerned in the 3 major sports: the National Hockey League, the NBA, and of course, Major League Baseball. The National Hockey League, the favorites finally bounced back. We talked about this the other day and mentioned how throughout the season, if you bet National Hockey League games, the favorites were dominant. They were really the way to go. Then once the playoffs started, the dogs kind of raised their ugly little heads, as they say, or they let them out of the doghouse and they started doing their things, and they did very well for a while. But now the favorites are back again. They went 3-0 yesterday. The Bruins, a minus 140 at the money line, was a game that they won against the Capitals. The Hurricanes were a minus 170 against the Predators, and the Avalanche were a minus 330 against the Blues. Now, the winning favorite so far in the playoffs is 4-3. The favorites lead 4-3 right now. Because, like we said, they had a slow start. In the beginning, it looked like the underdogs were doing very well. The home teams went 2-1 yesterday, but the road teams, they still lead 4-3. Now, the overs went 2-1 to take a 4-3 lead as well. So in the Hockey League, it looks like the favorites kind of bounce back again, kind of take that lead once again. Meanwhile, over in the NBA, the 2021 regular season is over. These are the stats if you're interested in knowing what's happened this past season, which was a real crazy season to bet. If you were betting NBA games this year, you know what I'm talking about. Favorites finished the season at 539 and 515, okay? That's 51.2%. Favorites, 51.2%. 13 of the games were pick'ems as well, okay? Now, the overs were mostly the way to go during the season, but they ended up just a little better overall than the unders at 50.4%. So there's some stats for you. Get ready. These are the things that you might be needing when the next season comes along for you. So anyway, in Major League Baseball, the underdogs, they did very well yesterday. Did 5-4 with upsets by the Rangers at a plus 230 against the Yankees. The White Sox, a minus 103 against the Twins. And the Tigers, a plus 160 against the Mariners. That's the game we kind of talked about yesterday. The Giants, a plus 122 against the Reds. And the Mets, a plus 145 against the Braves. The favorites still lead, however, at 55%. The overs went 5-4 yesterday. The unders lead has been now cut down to 50.6%. So that's the story as far as what happened yesterday, as far as betting is concerned in the major sports out there right now: Major League Baseball, NBA, and of course, the National Hockey League. So we're going to take our first break. And once again, just as a reminder, we do take 3 breaks within the show. Each one is of about 1 minute duration. So right after this 1 minute duration, we will be back into the zone. And welcome back. Welcome back to the Sports Wagering Zone. I'm Chris Pardo, coming to you live from Charlotte, North Carolina, on the I-95 Sports and Entertainment Network. Of course, we do podcasts on Apple Podcast, Amazon Music, most of the major podcasts. I don't want to keep going over and over on those. You know who they are. You know where they are. We're also on Blackjack TV on the East Coast, and of course, in the Colorado area and anywhere else, actually. You can just go on to milehighradio.com and listen to the show there live as well. Anyway, let's take a look at baseball, because baseball still king. I know basketball is kind of starting up as far as the play-ins are concerned. They start tonight as well. But we're still concentrating on baseball because we kind of started out that way, and we're going to try to keep up with this little system that we've been doing just to see how well it does. So yesterday, we had 3 plays to give you an idea as to how it's done. 2 of the plays had to do with the pro picks, okay? And that was San Francisco against Cincinnati. No, that was Washington and the Cubs. I'm sorry, I'm looking at today's games. The Cubs and Washington, we had the Cubs in that game, and of course they won. Then we had the Angels against Cleveland, and they won as well. Now, because we only had 2 selections from the pros, we like to give you 3 games. We kind of looked at some of the underdogs that we've been kind of playing on the side by ourselves without giving too much information out on them, because we don't want to get you started in that direction as well yet. So we kind of looked at them. We kind of like the Tigers yesterday against the Mariners. One of the big things we liked about the Tigers was that they were about a 140, 150 as far as the money line was concerned, on the plus side, of course, because they wound up going up to 160, and they did win as well. So yesterday, we did have 3 plays altogether that we talked about. 2 of them belong to the pros. Those are the ones that they picked. And of course, one was that we kind of liked, kind of let you know about as well. So looking at the entire total as far as how the little system with the pros and following which direction they're going, altogether, there have been 127 plays, 71 wins, and 55 losses so far. That's up until yesterday. That gives you a 55.9, almost a 56% win percentage. Not too shabby at all. So I'm not saying that this is what you should do from now on. Just trying to give you an idea of what there are other ways of approaching betting on sports. This is one of them. Get on the coattails of the guys who do this for a living. Are they right all the time? Of course not. But they are right somewhere between 55 and 60%. But of course, contrary to that, they're also losers at 40% or a little over. So you have to understand, every game is not going to be a win. Now, looking at so far this season, like I said, we had 127 plays, which is a pretty good idea as to how many games there were out there that we looked at. So you got a really good situation there. So let's look at the 3 games that are on tap for today. These were all selections that were made by following the money line, following the line movement of the game to determine which direction the professionals are going in these games. To start off with, at around 6:30, San Francisco Giants 25-16, playing the Cincinnati Reds 19-20. Now, the Giants came up big yesterday for the Pros in last night's opening game. They won 6-3 as plus 115 road dogs. Now, San Francisco originally opened as a plus 135, but they got steamed down roughly 20 cents. So in tonight's rematch, the Giants come in with their big pitcher, Anthony DeSclafani. He's 3-1, 2-1-4 as an ERA. And the Reds come back with Luis Castillo. He's 1-5 this season with a 7.71 ERA, 7.71. Now, the line opened with Cincinnati, a short minus 120 home favorite, and San Francisco, a plus 110 road dog. Now, the Pros see a pitching advantage for the road team in this game, and they're going back to the well with San Francisco, as we've seen the Giants move from being a plus 110 down to a plus 105 on the money line. The Giants in this game, they do have value because they're a dog that's coming off of a win. They're also a road dog with a line movement in their favor and a dog with a high total. The high total in this game is 8.5. San Francisco is 11-7 as a dog this season. The Giants are 36 in run differential this season. Cincinnati is -1. Giants plus 36, Cincinnati -1. So in this particular game, the Pros are on the San Francisco Giants. And as we look at the analytical data on this game as well, it seems like that seems to be going in the Giants' favor as well. Meanwhile, around 7:30 Eastern time, of course, Boston Red Sox 25-17. Big surprise so far this season. Toronto Blue Jays 22-17. Now, this is the showdown. You got the top two teams in the American League East going against each other. Now, they both come in on a real hot streak. The Red Sox are 6-4 in their last 10 games. The Jays are 7-3 in their last 10 games. Now, as we look at the line for tonight, the Red Sox give the nod to Eduardo Rodriguez, who's 5-1 with a 4.15 ERA, and the Jays come in with their lefty, Hyun Yin Ryu, 3-2 with a 2.95 ERA. Like I said, the line opened with Toronto, a -140 home favorite, Boston, a plus 130 road dog. Now, in this game, so far as the tickets have been coming in, the public is split right down the middle. They really don't know who to take. Got two teams, they're at the top of their game, coming off of great wins, top of the list, similar records. They kind of a toss-up right there. The Sharps, though, the Pros, they seem to be leaning on the Red Sox. We've seen Boston move from being a plus 130 to a plus 120 on the money line. The Red Sox have value in this game because they're a road divisional dog, and they're a dog with a high total. The total in this game is 9. Boston is incredibly 9-1 as a dog this year. The Sox are 12-5 on the road and 9-4 against the lefties. Now, despite both teams possessing powerful offenses, we've seen some pro money hit the under on this game. They dropped that total down from 9.5 down to 9. The weather could be a big reason why they made this little change. The forecast calls for temperature in the low 80s. Of course, they're not playing in Toronto, even though Toronto is the home team. They are playing in Florida with 15 to 20 mile per hour winds expected. And the wind is going to be blowing in from left center, which means not as many home runs. Now, both teams have been slightly profitable to the under this year. Boston is 22-19, and Toronto is 21-18. So you can see a lot of similarity here between these two teams. And conversely, what you're seeing is the uncertainty as to who the general public likes. The pros, of course, they're on the Boston Red Sox in this game. The analytics seem to be pointing in that direction as well. So in this game, Red Sox against the Blue Jays, the pros are on the Red Sox. In the first game we talked about, the Giants against the Reds, the pros on this game are on the Giants. So far, 2 games, both games they're on the underdog, which really is no surprise. Most of the time, the pros do value contrarian situations. But again, just because there's a favorite, as long as their numbers work out right and they see value in that game, they will go on a favorite as well, as you can see from that 55% average that we've come up with so far this season. We have 1 game left. It's the night game, the Pirates against the St. Louis Cardinals. But let's take that second break. Let's get that out of the way. And when we come back, that's the first thing that we're going to be talking about. So just to give you a reminder, you're in the sports wagering zone. And of course, like I said, we will be back in a little over a minute. And welcome back. You're back in the sports wagering zone. I'm Chris Pardo. We're coming to you live from Charlotte, North Carolina. In case you tuned in a little late, the first 2 games we talked about as far as the games for tonight are concerned, the San Francisco Giants against the Cincinnati Reds, the pros and the analytical data both agree the Giants are the team to bet. Boston Red Sox and the Toronto Blue Jays, 2 really good teams coming off of great wins, great 10 games numbers, things of that nature. The pros are on the Boston Red Sox, also the underdog in this game. And also, it's also the way the analytics seem to be pointing in that direction as well. Meanwhile, at 7:45 p.m., you got the Pittsburgh Pirates that are 17-23 playing the St. Louis Cardinals 23-18. It's kind of a mirror effect there. 17-23, 23-18. Now, this is a National League Central matchup. You got teams at the top of the division against the team against the bottom of the division. One on top, one on the bottom. I guess you don't need to take a guess as to which they are. You got the Cardinals and the Pirates. The Pirates sit in last place, but they managed to get a 4-game series split against the Giants last time out. Meanwhile, the Cardinals, they're licking their wounds because they just got swept by the Padres. So in tonight's opener, the Pirates their righty, JT Brubaker, is going to start. He's 3-2 with a 2.58 ERA. Meanwhile, the Cardinals come out there righty, John Gant, who's also 2-3 on the season, 1.83 ERA. The line open with St. Louis, minus 140 home favorite. Pittsburgh, a plus 130 road dog. The public sees an easy win here for the Cardinals. And of course, that's where most of the public money is going right now, laying the chalk with the Cardinals. Okay. However, despite all of this lopsided support that's going to the Cardinals, we've seen them drop from minus 140 down to minus 125 on the money line. What this means is you have a reverse line movement. The pros are grabbing the plus money with the Pirates. And when they did this, they came in with their big money, went from a plus 130 down to a plus 115 on the money line. The Pirates are one of the top contrarian plays of the day. And they also have value because they're a road divisional dog as well. So in this particular game, once again, the pros are on the dog, the Pittsburgh Pirates. Some of the analytics seem to be pointing to the Pirates as well. And like we just said, it's the top contrarian play of the day as far as we're concerned. So taking a look at all three games once again, first of all, the first game we talked about, the Giants against the Reds. The pros are on the Giants. The Giants are the underdog in that game. The Red Sox against the Blue Jays. The pros and the analytics as well are on the Boston Red Sox, and they are the underdog as well. And also the final game around 7:45, the Pirates against the Cardinals. The pros are on the Pirates in this game as well. So in all three games, the pros, their general feeling is that this is going to be a dog day, afternoon, evening, no problem at all as far as they're concerned. So all three games are on the contrarian side. Doesn't happen all that often. It does happen occasionally, just like you'll see where we'll have three games and all three games could be favorites. Again, they go where the value is. According to their statistical data, they've been doing this for decades. Okay, some have been doing it for almost 30 years, and they've been very successful at it. So, hey, why not try to get an idea where they're going and kind of latch on, get onto their coattails, and go right along with them. So that's the story there. Anyway, before we go and break and final break and come back and talk about the Yankees and their futures betting situation, just want to once again remind you about the newsletter that we're trying to put together. And again, regardless of which direction you're going, whether you like a lot of stats and you want to pick your teams and games that way, or if you just want to adopt the contrarian view and kind of start going in that direction, whichever your thoughts you're going with, we are going to be taking care of you in this newsletter. When it's time to give you stats, we get them, we'll kind of give them to you, put them out. It's a lot easier to get something written out because, like I always say, I can go into statistical data and you'll be listening to it for about 2 or 3, maybe 4 minutes, and then you can say, oh man, this is really too much. And most of it you're not going to remember as well when it comes to when you're going to use them. So this way, at least if you have an email, you have them filed away. You can always take a look at them. Say, hey, I heard. Oh yeah, I remember him saying something about pitchers or something of that nature, or a batting averages and things of that affect that. So you can look that up, see what the stats, what the analytics on it are, and kind of go it from there. So if you're interested, and if again, you're not going to be a millionaire by listening to all this advice. There's no doubt about it. Again, the point of it is just try to, have fun, bet throughout the season, and when it all comes to an end, you still have some money in your pocket, maybe a little extra, go to maybe your favorite restaurant, or maybe take your significant other out to a great date or something, or whatever it is that you're going to do. Maybe you'll do pretty good. You can get a better vacation situation. So anyway, either way, just want to let you know, it's going to be available. We're trying to get it put together, trying to see what it is we want to include into it. So if you have any interest whatsoever, send us an email and send it to the Sports Wagering Zone at gmail.com. The Sports Wagering Zone at gmail.com. You have to say the because that's part of the title in the account. So that's the story. Let us know how you feel. Doesn't have to be a long email. Just say, yes, I'm interested. We'll get in touch with you if we do proceed with what the plan is going to be. So that's the story there. Let's take our final break. When we come back, we're going to take a look at the New York Yankees, kind of give you some statistical data on the Yankees as to how really well they're doing. They're doing a lot better than most people seem to give them credit for. They're kind of an underrated team going into the season so far. So let's take that final break. And once again, as always, we will be back in 1 minute exactly. And welcome back. You're back in the sports wagering zone. I'm Chris Pardo coming to you live right here in Charlotte, North Carolina on the I-95 Sports and Entertainment Network. Now let's take a look at the analytics for the Yankees, because according to the analytical data that we kind of put together, the Yankees are still a pretty good smart bet to bet that they're going to take the American League East. That's the way we kind of look at it, because I think the Yankees are really underrated. I didn't believe that sentence could ever be written as anything other than absurd, okay? But here we are, middle of May, and the Yankees are underrated. When was the last time you heard that? They entered the game yesterday in third place in the American League East, 2 percentage points ahead of the Rays. Now, they were in the bottom third in all of Major League Baseball in runs scored, 22nd as runs scored are concerned. Everyone's talking about their weaknesses, their issues that they're having, and asking what's wrong, what's going on. And yet, you know what? The Yankees are still the best team in the American League, believe it or not. Now, not in terms of their record or their actual runs scored, or how many runs they've allowed, or in terms of anything that they've actually done so far up until now, of course. But in terms of who they actually are, once you account for their history, for the context of the team, and for the small sample size that is the start of the 2021 season, what a team has done over a limited time frame doesn't equal its true underlying talent level or what it's going to do as it goes ahead. Now, in the system of the Bat X, like those at Fangraphs and Baseball Prospectus, they project the Yankees to be the best team in the American League over the rest of the season by a real solid margin. Now, after all, nothing about this team has fundamentally changed since opening day, when everybody at that point in time expected it to be the best team. And the Yankees likely will be getting Luis Severino, their top 5 pitcher, back when he's healthy. Looks like he's going to be back sooner rather than later. Aaron Judge, I mean, he's just knocking the ball all over the place, as was Giancarlo Stanton, who went on the injured reserve on Monday. Okay. Now, DJ LeMahieu, he's performed as expected. Gio Urshela and Kyle Higashioka have exceeded their projections as to what they want to do. Now, sure enough, with men on base, they've been 20th, okay, and with bases empty, they've been 6th in the WRC measurements. It looks like the Yankees are situationally hitting. It's been awful, okay? They're choking in the clutch. That's what all those various talking heads are saying. They're choking. They've been hitting in the wrong places, okay? It's just randomness that's going to correct itself when it goes forward. And more than that, the Yankees actually will improve on all those stats as well. Now, plenty of the Yankees' good hitters are really underperforming. Gary Sanchez, he's batting 193 with a 3.23 weighted on base average. Okay. Now, weighted on base average, or WOBA, that's a comprehensive measure of offensive talent that weighs each hit and event correctly according to what impact it has on running, running, and getting the score. Running the score. It's essentially a better version of the OPS, which is itself a much better version of a batting average. So when you look at the WOBA, this is pretty good, and there's been limited drop off in the peripherals for Sanchez. Now the whole thing is the projected run, the Bad X's projected run total has been above Vegas's most days of late. So betting the team's total over, or the Yankees on the money line, could be a smart bet in the right situations over the next weeks that are going to be played. Their futures bets are also very interesting. Despite sitting in third place in the East, they're still favored to win the division. Minus 125 at BetMGM, by the way, but that's still just 55.6%. That's their chance of winning it. And their true odds are well beyond 55.6%. Now, if the season were to start over today, if it started today with 162 games to go, the Yankees would project 14 games better than the first place Red Sox and 7 games better than the second place Jays. Now, seeing as though they were just 2 games back of Boston and a half game back of Toronto, it's safe to say that the odds of the Yankees catching up and winning are really much greater than that 55.6% number that's out there right now. So looking at the Yankees may not be a bad idea to kind of take a look at them. Never been, growing up in the East Coast, never been a Yankee fan. Okay. Everybody in my neighborhood, everybody I knew was a Yankee fan because those were the heyday of the Yankees. Okay. They won titles like every year was another title they won. So for me to talk about the Yankees and saying that, hey, they're a pretty good bet, you know that I'm coming from a real analytical standpoint, and there has to be something to it. So if you're thinking about betting some baseball futures, you haven't done it yet, you might want to think about looking at the Yankees over the Red Sox and over the Blue Jays as well. So that's the story as far as that's concerned. I want to thank you very much for listening. Thank you. We definitely, totally appreciate everything that you guys do for us here on the show. So just to give you an idea, though, once again, in case you tuned in late or just to come back and let you know what's going on as far as the 3 games on tap for tonight are. In the earlier game around 6:30, the Giants against the Reds, the pros and the analytics both agree Giants are the team to bet. At 7:30 or so, the Boston Red Sox and the Toronto Blue Jays, once again, pros and the analytical data seems to be pointing towards the Red Sox. And the final game, the Pirates against the Cardinals, the analytics and the pros seem to love this Pittsburgh Pirate team in this situation. They are the underdogs as well. So all 3 games, they're all underdogs. Very contrarian day today. It's not me that's picking them. It's somebody else that does it for a living and is doing it very successfully. So, I kind of tag along with them as well. So anyway, that's the story there. And of course, once again, just want to thank you again for listening. We're here every day, Monday through Friday, 12 noon Eastern Time. We're on Saturdays and Sundays at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. I hope the information we give you today is of some help to you. If you're going to be betting, I hope you have a very good betting day. I hope you do very, very well. So I hope you have a good day also. If you're not betting, I hope you have a nice Tuesday. It's Tuesday afternoon, Tuesday morning for the people out on the left coast. Your day is just starting. Our day is like halfway through. So we hope you have a good day anyway. And of course, we do want you to have a profitable day as well. So until tomorrow, once again, at 12 noon Eastern Time, I'm Chris Pardo. We'll be coming back to you live again tomorrow on the I-95 Sports and Entertainment Network, and of course on most of the platforms for podcasting as well. So thanks again for listening, and we'll talk to you again tomorrow. So have a good day, but even more so, have a profitable day as well if you're going to wager. Goodbye, everybody.